Hi, and welcome to Speaking from the Center. I am Tim.
I'm Nolan.
And today
I
we are
have a
going to talk
fidget
about
spinner.
Russia,
Woo! Everybody's favorite.
everyone's favorite country, the former Soviet Union, Russia, and
Yeah.
their need for the Ukraine. They just need it.
The current Russian state is probably more akin to the Russian Empire than the Soviet Union. As you have a single powerful autocrat at the center and oligarchs all around.
So let's go into this by giving a little background. A while back during the Obama years, Putin he wanted Kiev, right? He wanted it.
I think you mean Crimea.
Crimea. God damn it. They all sound the same. Um,
That's racist.
yeah. He wanted the Crimea and he just sort of took it for himself.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Well, it was they had leased the ports from the Ukrainian government, and when a pro-Western, anti-Moscow Ukrainian government was elected, the Russian Black Sea Fleet was concerned that they would no longer have access to those ports, so they wanted to make sure that they had them.
And so they annexed part of a country to do it.
So they took some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obama said that was a no-no, but there wasn't much the U.S. could do about it. And Ukraine has been in sort of a scuffle with Russia ever since.
Yeah. So, what Russia pulled off in the Crimea is basically what's known diplomatically as a fait accompli. It's a matter of fact. They did it and they got away with it after the fact.
Yeah.
It's like it's a fait accompli. It's something that's already accomplished. You've already pulled it off. You don't have to ask or approve of getting it done. Others have to make you undo it, and that's the tricky bit.
And Obama didn't make Russia undo it, even though he said he would. We just I assume sanction them because that's
Yeah.
what we
Well,
need to do.
it's been a decade almost since all that went down.
Yeah,
And Russia has been slowly, basically since 2008, flexing its muscle in the old Soviet Republic domain. It's 2008. Flexing.
and now Putin said he wants the whole thing.
Well, I don't know if it's the whole thing, but at the very least, he's looking to acquire the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine.
Yeah, and
Basically taking up like a half to a third of the country to connect Crimea by land with Russia.
oh, I see. He just wants Crimea to just physically be a part of Russia at that point.
Yeah, he wants to have a line of territory. And,
Yeah,
and to be fair to Russia a little bit, though I don't usually think that's, you don't have to be fair to the Russians. Um, the eastern parts of the Ukraine have large ethnic Russian populations in them. To
are
you
they
know,
are they pro Russian though? Like, are they
I think
are they like, yay, we want to be part of Russia, or are they don't don't tread on me?
no, I don't. First of all, we're the only ones stupid enough to use a term like that. Uh, and don't tread on me. Okay, bro, sure. And then I assume, but I don't know. It's really hard to get reliable information out of that part of the world right now.
Well, Putin has put 100,000 Russian troops at the Ukraine border and says that he'll maybe move them if we promise to not let Ukraine into our special club
You
called
mean
NATO.
NATO,
Yeah,
the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, a
yeah,
military wing designed to promote European security and unity.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not just a special club. It's a pretty powerful strategic.
It's our special club.
Yeah, no. Mickey Mouse has a special club. NATO is a large multinational military organization. It's a little different. It doesn't have quite the reach of Disney, but
Are
way
you
more
sure?
firepower.
Are you sure? Because
That NATO,
Disney's got reach in like China and stuff like that.
you understand that I said NATO doesn't have the reach
Oh, you said they
Disney,
don't have the reach that Disney does. I see.
but I'm willing to bet NATO has a wee bit more firepower than Disney.
I mean, you don't know what they're hiding down there in Orlando.
Yeah, I do. It's meth. Large amounts of meth and Walt Disney's frozen body.
So yeah, Putin said, maybe we could work something out, but the first thing that NATO has to do is say that they won't allow Ukraine into their club, and that there's something about missile defense systems that Putin has a axe to grind with from a while back. That the NATO was putting
So this is
too close.
basically what NATO was designed to do. NATO was designed to protect Europe from the Russians.
Yeah.
Back then it was the Soviet Union. Now it's just the new Russian oligarch state under Putin.
Right.
The job of NATO has been to bring in member states and promote peace in Europe and also counter Russian Russian advances into Europe. When NATO was formed, Germany was 2 countries. So Russia got pretty far. Then in 91, the Soviet Union fell apart and they went pretty far back. Now, at some point, there was discussion about, limiting NATO's expansion, but like immediately after the Soviet Union collapsed, Poland joined, Germany didn't leave, Hungary, Czech Republic. So like all these other little countries started to join NATO because they were like, hey, Russia was here for a long time and we don't ever want them here again.
Right.
So the problem is we've driven the Russians further and further from any sort of influence in Europe to the point where all 3 of the Baltic states are now in NATO, and we're talking about enrolling Finland and the Ukraine. I mean, you've played Axis and Allies. At that point, Russia's pretty hemmed in.
Yeah. They can only go east now. They can't go west anymore.
Right, and the Chinese can't be screwed with. So,
well, I mean, at least in Axis and Allies, the Chinese weren't really that much of a threat. But nowadays,
yeah. So the issue is the Russians are feeling hemmed in. Their buffer states are no longer buffer states.
right?
If Ukraine joins, it literally like we are in the Russian heartland at that point. There's an easy jumping off point.
Right.
Moscow's
not too far.
Moscow's not too far, and it's really easy to intercept Russian military equipment that's trying to get to Europe if it gets interdicted and stopped over the Ukraine,
Right.
And it's actually a lot more terrifying than I think people in the press and today realize. But like this could be, World War III.
I mean, I've heard that idea floated a few times.
Yeah, but I'm not
descend into like a large European war and then into an intercontinental fun fest.
Nuclear war. And that's bad because Russia has the world's largest nuclear arsenal. Now, mind you, most of those things are old Soviet pieces of crap that are just as likely to break up in the silo trying to take off as they are to hit their damn target. But here's the thing. Close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and thermonuclear weapons.
Right.
We didn't hit London, but we got pretty fucking close and still wiped the city out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't hit New York City, but fuck Connecticut. Like,
wait, that's where I'm from.
Yeah. And we're on the closer side to New York,
you know what I saw that was cool recently? An old Soviet map of Connecticut. And like the strategic points that the Soviet Union would plan on hitting in Connecticut.
Well, I'm assuming Bridgeport was one of them.
Yeah, Bridgeport and Waterbury were specific like strategic points for manufacturing.
Yep. Yeah. Back when we used to make stuff here.
Yeah. because Waterbury was the brass capital of the nation.
Oh yeah. And we had Remington and Colt and a whole bunch of things down in
Yeah.
Bridgeport.
Yeah, and New Haven is a big shipping port.
Groton Naval Base. We used
Yeah.
to have the naval base there. I don't think we do anymore, but
But it was funny to see all the Russian words on where all the cities go. You know, like their word for New Haven and all that, and like where they thought the strategic points were. Like there was a little thing on Waterbury, there's a little thing on Bridgeport, there's a little thing on New Haven.
that's funny.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, this could very quickly escalate. The Russians have hundreds of thousands of troops on the border. NATO is sending reinforcements at the moment. The United States is talking about reinforcing its presence in Eastern Europe, and Eastern European deployments means, you know, quickly they can get to the Ukraine in the event of an invasion.
yeah,
And then like I think I said in the last episode, my brother-in-law is a captain in the army. He's already got his orders. He's going to the Ukraine.
wow,
He's part of I think he's Delta Force.
oh
He's an army ranger, and I'm pretty sure they're going over there to train Ukrainian troops.
wait, they're sending Chuck Norris over there.
No, Chuck Norris is dead.
Oh, okay.
I think
I don't think he's dead. I think he's alive somewhere
he might be
and spreading COVID conspiracies. I'm pretty sure. Yes, the map is both terrifying and fascinating.
Yeah. So I mean this is the problem. Russia has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, and of those that work, it's probably on par with what we have.
Right.
It could escalate into a shooting war. I wonder though. So here's the thing: the Russians are masters of this sort of nonsense. They are kicking up all this fuss and all this mess and troops and rattling their sabers at the Ukraine. But what are they really after? Because this to me seems like, we're going to invade and we had concessions and and all this stomping and angry, and then they're going to like invade Belarus. And nobody's going to see it coming. And it's just going to be like, whoop, oh, we annexed Belarus. What? You can't do that. We weren't ready. We were looking at Ukraine. Yeah, gotcha.
Can't they just take like one of those former Soviet states that isn't doing so good? Like that's already
like Belarus, you mean?
Yeah, like Belarus, yeah.
Remember, several of their athletes, of Belarusian athletes, defected to Japan during the last Olympics. They were like, nope, you're going home. And she went to the Japanese police and was like, please don't let them take me.
So the most recent thing in the news about this anyway is that the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, said that the U.S. had formally responded to Russia's security demands in a letter that he described as a serious diplomatic path forward to de-escalating threats in Ukraine, but there is no change in the Biden administration's position on Ukraine and NATO.
Yeah. I read an interesting idea or interesting article of how to get around this whole problem. Ask Russia to join NATO. In the NATO charter, Charter 1 says that you agree to mediate your issues with other NATO members, and you agree to respect the sovereignty and come to the defense of the sovereignty of other member states. So enroll Russia and then immediately enroll the Ukrainians after that. And it's like, well, you're all in the special club. You can't fight each other now.
We're all friends now, guys.
If you guys want to work out this dispute you're having. So basically what happened was in like 2010, maybe 2012, there was a coup in the Ukraine.
Right.
In the West, we dressed it up as like a populist. Oh, all these people rose up to overturn this unfairly elected tyrant who's pro-Moscow. And I remember listening to it, reports from the Ukraine on the news, NPR specifically, or it might have been the BBC. I'm not sure. But the person in Kiev was talking about how diverse a group of people it had been that was involved in the coup. There were a lot of men and women and other Ukrainian minority groups all came together to overturn this thing. And then they interviewed a guy, a professor from Odessa, and he went, yeah, it's a coup. And the guy went, oh, I don't know if you can call it a coup with all these different people. He goes, it doesn't matter who's involved. It's still a coup. Like, okay, it was a diverse coup. It's still a coup. You took the leader and you ousted him from power by other than legal means. That's a coup. And
It
that's when
was-
and that's when Russia annexed the Crimea.
yeah, because they're
Now,
like, oh, we got to get us some of that.
well, no, it was more like shit. Because the Russians have, like, I remember back in '05, they actually poisoned one of the Ukrainian opposition leaders.
I remember that.
Yeah, he had like his face went all like frozen on one side. It was bad. But Russia's been meddling in the Ukraine and trying to. The Ukraine has been trying since the breakup of the Soviet Union to distance itself from Moscow and get closer ties with the European community. And Russia has been tirelessly dragging them back into Moscow's sphere of influence.
Right.
The Ukrainian coup back, I want to say 2012, that sounds right. And the seizure of Crimea and the ongoing scuffle. I mean, now, and here's the stupid part, right? All this, there's a part of Russia or the former Soviet Union that still thinks it's part of the Soviet Union.
Right. It was 2014.
There, I knew it was around there somewhere. Um, there's a place in Moldova called East Turnitsia, which is on the Moldovan-Ukrainian border in the east. When Moldova broke away from the Soviet Union, East Turnitsia went, oh, no, you don't. We're staying as part of the Soviet Union. Fought the Moldovans, won the right to remain as part of the Soviet Union, and has continued on so, even though by the time they won that right, the Soviet Union no longer existed. To the point where I'm pretty sure East Turnitsia uses the web domain .su for like all two of the websites they have.
Well, there's always this talk about Russia trying to install a pro-Russian government in Ukraine, and constantly trying to influence Ukraine stuff, and all of that is part of the whole fucking Trump sending Giuliani to Ukraine, and Putin trying to influence Trump to do things. Like they've been trying very hard to.
I mean, look, Russia's gonna Russia, man.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter who's in the White House. Like, sure, yeah, okay, Trump didn't help things, but Trump didn't help a lot of things. It's not like he did anything that was going to stop the Russians from Russia-ing.
Well, yeah, you're right. Like every president since, I don't know, since the Soviet Union fell and the Russian Federation was created, every president's like, oh, we're going to restart relations with Russia. And no one has really successfully done it.
No.
Clinton couldn't do it. Bush couldn't do it. Obama.
I'd argue that the Bush years or the Clinton years were probably some of the best in terms of U.S.-Russian relations. But
Well,
Russia was such a goddamn mess at the time.
Yeah, it wasn't Putin.
Yeah, it was Yeltsin.
Yeah, the Boris Yeltsin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the big drunk.
Yeah.
He was president of Russia, and he would go to other countries and get drunk and make a fool of himself. Like the one time he somehow drunkenly slipped out of the White House while staying there during a visit. He slipped out of the White House, got a cab to take him down the road in his underwear to get, I want to say it was Little Caesars. Might have been Domino's. And then drop him off back in front of the White House. Mind you, nobody had realized he had slipped out yet. And then he nearly got shot by the Secret Service trying to sneak back into the White House.
He probably offered them some pizza.
Yeah, he was hammered.
Yeah.
He was wasted out of his mind. This is how big of a drunk Yeltsin was. There is a phrase in Ireland based on being Yeltsin-level drunk. And it's circling Kerry.
Circling Kerry.
Yeah, because I think that's where one of the airports is.
Yeah, I think there is an airport there.
And Yeltsin was coming for a goodwill tour of Ireland, and he got so drunk on the flight over that they couldn't land. They had to wait and circle the airport until he sobered up enough for them to land so he could actually walk off the plane under his own power.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, Yeltsin was a mess. He got drunk at a summit in Finland and declared that he was in Sweden. that he was upset there were no Swedish meatballs. Like he was bad.
Oh my God. But yeah, so
So Russia went from that to Putin.
Putin and everyone who's tried to make nice with Putin has realized that they're up against a former KGB agent who doesn't give a fuck. All he cares about is is influencing whatever was he can get of the former Soviet Union and making money.
Yeah, I mean, I would tag in there that he's also interested in maintaining his own authority.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
when he made himself president for life.
Yeah. But this is, well, yeah, so what? He made himself czar. Shocker. I mean, Stalin did the same thing when he took over.
Yeah, but that was Stalin. He had
I mean, no, it's the same thing, man. Russia trends towards autocracy. They always have.
yeah,
Like, we could go back into the annals of Russian history and talk about how the 200 years of Mongol rule led to Russia basically being the backwards authoritarian state it is today, because all those developments that Russia or that Europe went through at the time, Russia missed out on
right.
because they were under Mongol authority.
Yeah, Russia seems to have missed out on like a few of those.
Well, one of the biggest things to hit Europe was the Black Plague, right?
Yeah.
And the Black Plague made a fundamental shift in European society. No longer were peasants like tied to the land.
Mm-hmm.
Peasants were in scarcity, so they could compete, and lords would offer them wages to come work on their lands and stuff like that. That didn't happen in Russia during the Black Plague. The Black Plague, they were under Mongol occupation. The Mongol rule was exploitative. The
Right.
Mongols were like, "Hey, we're leaving you in charge as our governors. You have to collect all this money and tribute for us. If you don't, well, like, you know what we'll do.
Right.
So do it." And they were like, "Yeah, okay, we're going to do it." And they did.
So what do you think Russia's ultimate goal is here? Do they just want Ukraine to not join NATO, or do they want to take sections of Ukraine regardless of what Europe or America thinks?
I mean, can it be both?
I mean, yeah, it can be both, but like what is like all right, let's say Putin's shooting for the sun here and he lands on the moon. What's the moon for him? Like what's his consolation prize for not getting all of Ukraine?
Getting half of Ukraine, or keeping Ukraine out of NATO, or both, or annexing Belarus and Kazakhstan while no one's looking. Like, it's impossible to tell.
I don't think that America would put up such a stink over like Kazakhstan or Belarus.
I don't think partly because we don't. First of all, I don't know too much about the Kazakh current political situation, though I know the Russians have been freaking out because the Chinese have been making inroads and have better relations and closer economic ties with Kazakhstan than Moscow does currently. And that's a big problem for them.
Yeah.
Two, Belarus is a third-rate despot crap hole of a place. The leader is effectively like Putin's lapdog. He has said multiple times, "We're ready to rejoin the Russian Federation" whenever Putin asks. So,
All right. Well,
I don't know that Russia would even want to, like, because if you think about it in terms of like, we think about it in terms of like War Games or Hearts of Iron or something.
right.
You want to take that place over because you want the industry, you want that. But for the Russians, annexing like either of those two places, it's basically trying to absorb a third world nation into your economy. And that could be very bad for Russia.
Right. I mean,
followed by like a wave of international condemnation and sanctions and trade interdiction.
Is there anything that America or Europe can do to keep Putin from invading Ukraine further?
I see. This is the thing. We don't even know if that's his actual goal.
Right. But if he's threatening to do that and he's saying that, hey, don't let the Ukraine can't be in your special club, or we're going to invade, or both. What's the NATO play on that then? What do they
Enroll
do?
Ukraine as fast as possible and send troops. I mean, they look, we can't let Russia do this, because if you let the Russians do this, then it's going to be like, okay, the West is weak and we can keep pushing. And the
Right,
Russians, you give them an inch and they will literally take a mile.
right.
So we
So
have to meet them head on.
is there going to be like a year-long standoff with the Russian army and NATO
Possibly. I mean,
before?
somebody's got to blink, right?
Yeah,
And either it'll be an economic thing that'll come through that'll make the Russians change their mind, or something. But diplomatically, this is a major standoff that, I mean, thank God we have, Biden in office for this, because Trump would have been a fucking disaster.
oh yeah, Trump would have threatened to invade Russia or said, "Go ahead, whatever, we don't care."
Yeah. No, it would have been a disaster. But now we've got somebody who actually understands this kind of standoff and what we're up against. And, this is seriously important.
Yeah,
And if it's not handled properly, again, we're on the knife's edge, This goes sour and bombs start dropping, and
moving to Canada.
I don't know that that's going to help, buddy.
Just live in the Saskatchewan.
I don't think we're going to get the chance. You know how long it takes for like an ICBM to like reach its target once it's been launched?
Isn't it like, I'm gonna say under an hour?
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you're right. It's a good thing Trump's not president, because he's probably got an itchy trigger finger.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And I don't know, like all of NATO knows that their job is to contain Russia. I mean, that's why Turkey's part of it, for God's sakes.
Yeah, we don't even like Turkey that much.
They won't let them in the EU.
And they kept fucking around in Iraq, trying to kill all the Kurds.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, Turkey's going to Turk.
I'm just saying, like, they're sort of a frenemy.
Well, we need them because of their strategic position.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this gets resolved like the Cuban Missile Crisis did.
Right.
Where we kind of trade one for one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sure, we'll give you the Ukraine, but in exchange, you have to do this. Or because the Russians, they not only want Ukraine, but they're also talking about, they want NATO not to deploy troops to Eastern Europe, and they don't want these missile defense systems deployed into Eastern Europe. It's like, no, those are non-starters for us. Like, we're going to send missile defense systems and troops to NATO member states. Like, that's part of being in NATO. And Biden's being very kind of cagey on it. Like, well, maybe we'll send troops, maybe we won't. But the worst part is we can't really do anything for certain until we actually know what the Russians are going to do. And it's like, well, they're going to invade the Ukraine. Well, that's the thing with the Russians. Maybe.
I think that the whole amassing troops on the border thing is part for show. I think it's like Putin saying, "Hey, look at what I can do anytime I want," and just putting 100,000 troops on the Ukraine border, saying, "Hey guys, I got stuff over here. What are we gonna do?"
I'd say we call their bluff this time. I'm going to put 100,000 troops on the border. Cool. We're going to put 20,000 American troops. Do it. I fucking dare you. Oh, you got 100,000? We'll put 50,000, just like we did in North Korea. We got 50,000 troops at the DMZ. We'll put 50,000 troops in Eastern Ukraine and go ahead, do it. Give us the excuse. As long as they shoot first, we're in the clear.
Yeah. Yeah. And once again, it's good that Biden is president, and we have a Secretary of State who's at least a diplomat.
Not some energy CEO who's massively corrupt.
Oil tycoon that Russia can bribe with oil.
think you need to put oil a few more times in that sentence, but yeah.
Well, let's move on to our other topic. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer today said that he's going to retire.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't officially announced it yet.
But he will be retiring soon.
Yeah, June he will be out.
So that means Joe Biden gets to nominate a Supreme Court justice that the Republicans will block in the Senate.
Yeah, he just needs to find somebody that Joe Manchin likes.
Yeah, some conservative, not too conservative judge. Like, what's his name? Who's Attorney General now? Merrick Garland, who Obama appointed, who all the Republicans like, but told Obama to go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Someone like
that. That's been their policy since Obama got elected in 2008. Just obstruct.
Yeah. And that's been their policy with Biden too. But yeah, you're right. They got to get someone that's Kyrsten Sinema and
Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Mishima.
That they'll like. And
are they in the Senate or are they in the House?
They're in the Senate. But if they get Sinema and Manchin on board, then they have enough people to vote in a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, well, they've been such a great job at getting those two involved so far. I can't imagine why now would be an issue.
Yeah, I know. But so some fun facts about Stephen Breyer. He was appointed by Bill Clinton. He was nominated by Bill Clinton. He assumed office in 1994, so he's been a Supreme Court justice for quite some time. That's about it. He was appointed to the appellate court or the appeals court by Jimmy Carter, so that's how long Breyer's been around. And he was a corporal in the U.S. Army.
Nice.
He served in the Army Strategic Intelligence Reserve.
Okay.
Yeah. And he went to Stanford and Harvard.
Well, you got to, you know.
Yeah. I mean, to be a Supreme Court justice, you definitely got to go to Harvard.
At least. That's where you can join the Skull and Bones. That's
yeah.
what you need to get into politics.
So he is considered an activist judge and a liberal judge. And he is one of only 3 left in the Supreme Court.
Yep.
I don't know if Biden's going to get an actual a replacement liberal judge for him.
I think he has 2 lined up because he was talking about if he got the chance to nominate someone, he was going to nominate a black woman.
Yeah.
And I heard of 2 candidates on his short list. I don't remember their names, but one of them is currently a Supreme Court judge in the state of Illinois or something. And the other is an appellate judge on the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals or whatever in DC.
Mm-hmm. See if I can look it up.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, you're right. His shortlist according to Politico. Her name is, I'm going to butcher this. I shouldn't even try. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's 51 and she's widely considered to be the front runner for any Supreme Court vacancy under Biden. And she has the support of the African American caucus in the Senate and the House. And there's another black woman. Her name is Kendra Kruger.
Yep.
And she is an associate justice on the California Supreme Court.
That's the one.
So those are the top 2 for Biden. But with the Senate the way it is, who knows? Because the Republicans are, even though that they got rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court nominees when Trump was in office. They could pull whatever shit they want, really.
Yeah. Well, it's we're a country that's stagnating while two political parties fight about either making desperately needed changes to a country, and the other fights to keep everything the way it is because it's working fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I was either watching a video or reading something the other day that was like, the cycle is the Republican Party comes in, cocks things up, and all the Democrats do when they get in power is fix it and then get thrown out for being too unpopular, not actually doing anything. Like, it's just the Democrats' job is apparently to get the country back to status quo after the Republicans fuck it. And the Democrats are left with not being able to push their own agenda, just fixing whatever happened.
I mean, some would argue that that's what the Republicans do. Your whole cocking it up thing is them getting their things going.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
it's one group that goes, hey, times change and we need to change with the times, and another group going, no, everything's fine.
It's all fine the way it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of stuff that Biden has done has been trying to undo things that Trump did.
Yeah, well, his first 100 days in office, I think that's how long it took him to sign an undo on all the executive orders Trump did.
Yeah. Well, he did a bunch of them like day one, and then he was like, I'll get to the rest of this later. And like he waited to do a whole bunch of stuff. And there's some stuff that he still hasn't gotten rid of that Trump did.
Yeah.
Or the Supreme Court or something, or Congress has sandbagged on something. But the other thing about the Supreme Court is the Democrats really want Biden to expand the court to, I don't know, 11 or 12 justices to, quote, balance out the court.
How many?
11 or 12.
Yeah, they tried doing that under the, what's his name?
Which one?
The guy in the wheelchair.
The guy, FDR?
Yeah. FDR was floating that idea back in the 30s.
I mean, it's something that can technically be done, but it doesn't fix the problem. It just temporarily it temporarily adds some justices until the next guy comes along and was like, nah, we'll go back to 9. When these guys retire, we'll just go back to 9.
I mean, what is adding more going to do?
The theory is, and I don't subscribe to this because it's kind of nonsense anyway. The theory is that adding a few more justices under Biden would allow him to appoint more liberal justices to counter the conservative justices.
Right. And it's amazing, but both sides don't ever seem to click that what you do to one side, they can do back to you.
Yeah. And it can escalate into where there's like a 50-person Supreme Court.
Yeah. It's so stupid. Like, no, adding more isn't going to fix anything. It's just the liberals going, oh, well, Ginsburg died and now we don't have that slim group of 4. Now it's dominated by conservatives and we lost. And the only way we can handle that is by saying, well, let's change the game.
And it's not like Neil Gorsuch or what the frat boy, Kavanaugh have.
Brett Kavanaugh.
Have actually like been super conservative. They've sided with the liberal justices on some things, and so has what's his name, Chief Justice.
Her name, you mean the one Trump appointed after Kavanaugh?
No. There's the Chief Justice, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
he sided with the liberal justice. Like, it's not like the Supreme Court is like ultra conservative now. They just have a little bit of a conservative bent, where before they had a little bit of a liberal bent.
Yeah.
It's not that much of a change. The thing that the liberals are concerned about the most, and the things the conservatives want the most, is the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
Is that what they want?
I mean, that's what Trump said they wanted.
Yeah, I know, but Trump says lots of things. Like,
I mean, there's only a few things that conservatives would want out of the Supreme Court, and Roe v. Wade's one of them.
Well, I don't know that they want that though. I know
But
I know the evangelicals want it, and there are some segments of the conservative, that want that overturned, but I don't know that that's a universally accepted objective for conservative voters or politicians.
you're probably right. I'll rephrase that. The evangelical wing of the Republican Party really wants that.
Oh yeah, big time. And they always have. But
Yeah.
and that's why that Texas abortion law was such a big deal.
Yeah, and speaking of the Supreme Court, they refused to take that up.
I thought they did.
I'm pretty sure
They just said they were gonna kick it down the road or something.
the Supreme Court, Texas. I forgot how to spell Texas. Here we go.
There's an X in it.
Is there? God damn it. Declines to intervene on Texas abortion law.
Intervene. That doesn't mean it's not going to hear the case if it's brought before them.
The case is currently before the Supreme Court. Abortion providers are hoping the U.S. Supreme Court will reroute the case to a federal district court where a judge previously blocked the law. So you are correct.
Yeah.
But, once again, it's not the ultra conservative way to go. If it was ultra conservative and evangelical, they would have been like, "Oh, forget whatever. This is good. We'll take this." But
right, but no, and I bet you that's what they're going to do. They are going to go, yeah, we're not going to rule on this. We're going to kick it to a court of appeal.
Yeah,
and the court of that's the smartest thing for them to do, because then they can just go, yeah, let's make somebody else get in trouble for dealing with this.
You know what? We don't really want this. We're just
the show I was watching before when we were getting started, before we went live, is a British show from the 80s called Yes Minister. And if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend giving it a watch. It is all about the ins and outs of bureaucracy and the nonsense of political power. And there's this whole bit where one of the guys is complaining. He's like, wait a minute. You said that we'd get to talk about this more. I don't remember doing that. Yes, you did. You said it at the last meeting. And then one of the civil servant steps and goes, I beg your pardon, sir, but in the official record of the minutes, there's no listing of that there. And if it's not officially written down in the minutes, even if you recollect it, if it's not in the minutes, it doesn't count. And it's just it's so pedantic, but it's yeah, no, that's how politics really works in some cases.
Yeah. And if it's not in the minutes, it doesn't count.
No, we didn't put it in the minutes. So even if half of you recollect us talking about it, and the other half of the half recollect us saying that we'd have a further extension on it, it's not in the official minutes. So officially, it didn't happen.
Well, at least Biden will get a Supreme Court nominee. And we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll get to appoint the judges he wants if the two Democratic senators agree to it.
Not likely.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about before we end the show is, man, the Democrats are going to get fucked in the midterms. Pretty horribly.
Yeah.
Their approval ratings across the board are not great. The district lines are going to get redrawn, and the Democrats are going to try and gerrymander it, but they're not as good as at gerrymandering as the Republicans are.
I mean, you hire it out to a third party, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the problem is that this goes in circles and circles. Everyone blames each other for gerrymandering every time it's their turn to draw the maps. But the Democrats are under a lot of pressure to not gerrymander and draw the district lines in a way where they don't look like squiggles on the map.
That's a terrible idea right now.
Yeah.
But the Democrats always get fucked on the midterms.
Yeah.
The only time they can drum up the support is for the big presidential elections.
But the problem is Biden, even though he got the most votes of any president in history, has an approval rating under 40% because he's not that popular of a dude. He's not like Obama, where he was charismatic, or Bill Clinton, where he was charismatic and people liked him. People really don't fundamentally like Joe Biden. He
I
was
didn't.
just not Trump.
Nobody voted. Yeah, and this is what you get. Like I said, it's been Democrats have been trying it for decades, and they finally got a person in on the basis of not that guy. And yeah, he's not popular. What a shocker. Nobody wanted Biden as president. We just wanted not Trump.
And the way that the Senate races are going in the midterm is there's more Democratic senators up for reelection than Republicans.
Yeah.
So they have to play defense on that.
Well, and that's the problem is the Democrats are kind of, the Republicans know how to fall in line. The Democrats don't. And there are elements in the Democratic Party that are trying to push more progressive agendas. And then there's the status quo Democrats who are trying to stay in power.
Yeah. They're called corporate Democrats now.
Whatever. I mean, they're all corporate something or another at this point.
There's no way that a congressional candidate can win an election without being a corporate something or other.
I'm waiting for when the Disney Corporation just drops the pretense and buys the government.
It's coming, man. If they own a few more things.
I mean, at this point, like they could basically, I feel like they could start putting out stuff saying, okay, everybody, it's time to overthrow the government. This is from our two best friends, Mickey Mouse and Jesus. And I'm not even sure the latter needs to be involved.
Boy, those Avengers movies have gotten really anti-government.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you notice that?
They're really like promoting rising up against the government. That can't be good.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. Who are the holdouts against Disney at this point? Sony.
Yep.
And they bought 20th Century Fox, Paramount.
That's it, kind of.
Yeah, like that's it for American movie studios that are still standing.
Isn't Sony a Japanese company?
Right, Sony's a Japanese company, but they have a big American, or at least they used to have a big American market. Now they're playing sharesies with Spider-Man.
I saw the new Spider-Man.
I haven't yet.
All I'll say is they play this song at the end credits that if you ever watched School of Rock as a kid. And I feel like this is somebody doing an end zone dance in somebody else's face because they play the song 3 is a magic number. I'm like, I don't know who's rubbing what in whose face, but somebody is deliberately going like, and I don't know if it's Sony going, haha, we finally got another Spider-Man franchise to 3, or if it's Disney going, yeah, we finally got another Spider-Man franchise to 3. I'm not sure which it is, but somebody's doing an end zone dance. And it's just so funny because the credits end and it's 3, it's a magic number. And I started laughing. I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Oh, and Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is still standing for the time being.
Oh, good for them.
They still have the DC universe to play around with.
I will say this. For all the attention the Marvel films have gotten, the one thing DC has down solid is animated films.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of the Marvel animated stuff that's come out since the MCU? It's terrible.
It's not great.
But I watched the whole DC animated universe movie thing, starting with Flashpoint and going to what was it? Justice League Dark Apocalypse War?
Okay.
Yeah, that was really freaking. It was like 20 movies or so, but that was really good.
Yeah, I've seen some of those, and they're pretty good. Like, it seems that Disney and Marvel have the movie thing down, and now that Disney controls the streaming platform completely, like they're better at the TV shows. But DC still has really good TV shows, and their animated movies are really good.
Oh yeah, no, DC controls TV, but that's the thing. Like Marvel TV shows only work if they're being done on the streaming platform. They don't work if they're being done for general consumption.
Well, yeah, and if they're miniseries, like all the good Marvel shows have been 8 episodes or less.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they can do like a 20 episode season every year
No.
and just churn out like, I don't know.
I mean, so the only people who could really do that was Netflix when they had
Yeah.
and they only managed that with like 3 out of the 4 properties they had.
Yeah, the 3 out of the 4 Defenders.
Yeah. I loved Luke Cage.
Yeah, Luke Cage was good.
Daredevil was great.
Yeah.
Though, did Punisher get 1 or 2 seasons? I don't remember.
I think Punisher got 2 seasons.
Jessica Jones got 3, I think.
And then there was Agent Carter. That was for a while.
That wasn't Netflix, though. That was ABC.
Oh, because ABC did Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went for like 7 seasons, but it was never like well regarded. So how it managed to do that, I do not know.
I don't know, because like because they had a full season and then Winter Soldier happened. And then it felt like no one told ABC that they were just going to totally fuck S.H.I.E.L.D. And they're like, shit, we got to do something. Add in the Inhumans. And then that got all fucked up.
Yep.
Because the Inhumans whole thing was just fucked from the beginning.
Well, allegedly, part of that is going to be how they're going to bring out Miss Marvel.
Right.
But, yeah.
There's one other company taking over entire stretches of their sector.
What's that?
Microsoft recently acquired Activision Blizzard. So now they own like 23 different gaming studios now. Like anything that Epic Games doesn't own, Microsoft owns.
I'll be honest with you. I think video games kind of peaked around the PS2, Xbox 360 era.
You think so? Because it's like...
No, because that's when games were still being made for content and not for flash.
Yeah, they didn't have the big like AAA game thing.
AAA gaming was not a thing in that era. Yeah. And games, there were a lot of shit games back then, but there were a lot of really good. Some of the best video games ever made came out between the PS2 and the Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
Halo 3.
Halo Reach.
Yeah, the story was good.
Well, it was the last Halo that Bungie made.
Yeah.
Then they went on to do other things.
Yeah. What else came out? I'm trying to think of it. Spec Ops: The Line.
That
was a great game. Very dark, but very good. Like all these great games with a lot of great stories, Psychonauts and. But after the rise of the
games,
after the rise of the AAA gaming industry, I just feel like most of games just kind of meh.
Well, they follow like one of 3 paths now. Like you're either a Fortnite, PUBG clone. You're either a first-person,
modern war mill sim shooter, or you're a sandbox.
Yeah, or you're an RPG open world Ubisoft game.
God.
Or you're on the Steam and you're an indie developer and you make no money. Like those are.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, I think the time for really great video game. I mean, sort of what Creative Assembly makes in the Total War series.
Yeah.
The Warhammer 3 is coming out next month, and I am so excited.
Total War games are always good.
They are fantastic. Well, especially their Warhammer series.
Yeah.
Where them and the guys over at Games Workshop went, this is what everybody wants anyway.
But yeah, so Microsoft became a little bit bigger by acquiring Activision, and I guess Microsoft now owns World of Warcraft.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, they're about 10 years too late to own World of Warcraft, but
I was going to say I hope Microsoft's expanded their Chinese language division, because if they bought World of Warcraft, that's predominantly who plays it. Well, okay, technically bored Chinese prison guards who torture prisoners by making them grind XP for them. God, what an authoritarian hellhole China must be.
What a dystopia.
What a dystopia. You've been locked up for political dissidence. What is your punishment? You're going to grind this character for me. No.
No.
The
You just have-
horrors of communism.
You just have to keep killing boars.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I think that's it for this episode
That works for me.
because yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to put the links up for the stuff real quick. That's all of our stuff down there. You got Twitch, there's the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe on all of the platforms, especially YouTube and Twitch. And there should be a Patreon link down there somewhere. Where is it? Come back. Is that Patreon? Yes, Patreon. Go to Patreon, give us money.
Yay, money.
I don't care how much you give us. Just give us money. $1 will do. And
Yeah.
yeah. So that's it for Speaking from the Center this week. Join us again next week when there'll be different things to talk about, unless there's a world war.
Yeah.
And then
in which
that's what we'll
case,
cover.
maybe.
It'll be a different setting. It'll be like in the basement in a bomb shelter somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be
We'll
more
be
like
doing it with 2 cans hooked up with a string. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Okay.
All right, so bye.
Bye. Oh, that's twice he's done this now.
I did the thing again. All right, I'm going to hit the actual button.
Please do.
Maybe I'll turn this into a bit. I don't know.
You know, it's going to, from now on, when you do that, it stops being speaking from the center and it becomes Nolan from the center for like a minute until you've realized the mistake you've made and come back and fix it.
All right, now I'm going to hit the button.
Okay.